something happened that made time stop. Cameras clicking, reporters poised, hearts racing. But in the middle of it all, silence. Why? Because BTS's Jimin, standing in his military uniform with the weight of 18 months on his shoulders, whispered words no one expected. And those words, they didn't just touch hearts, they healed them. Let's rewind. June 11th, 2025, the morning sun had barely risen over Yeoncheon, but the air was already thick, with emotion, with anticipation, and with thousands of fans holding their breath. It had been 1 year and 6 months since Jimin enlisted alongside Jungkook. And now, at the Yeoncheon Public Stadium, he was finally free to return, not just as a K-pop icon, but as someone transformed. He emerged not with fanfare or theatrics, but with quiet grace. The kind of grace only someone who has seen the world from both a global stage and the inside of a military base could carry. With a crisp salute, eyes firm yet shimmering with unspoken emotion, Jimin stepped forward. "I sincerely thank you all for coming from far away," he began. His voice wasn't loud, but it cut through the air like a beam of light. "It's been quite a long time, since COVID-19, and our military service," he continued, almost as if speaking through a lump in his throat. "I'm so grateful that you haven't forgotten and have waited for me." You could hear fans quietly crying, reporters lowering their cameras just to take in the moment. The Jimin standing there wasn't just a star. He was a son, a friend, a man who had served silently, away from the glittering lights. And then, just when the press was ready to wrap up, he added, softly, humbly, something that made everyone freeze. "Let me just say one last thing," he said. "When we first came to the military, it seemed like it wasn't an easy place. There are so many people around us who are having a hard time. So, if you don't mind, if you happen to see any soldiers on the street, I would be honored if you could say even a small but warm word to them." That's when it happened. The silence. Because in that one moment, Jimin, who could have spoken about stage comebacks or future projects, chose instead to shine a light on others. Soldiers still serving, strangers who often go unnoticed, the ones who don't get cheers or applause. The internet erupted, not with drama, not with shock, but with love. As someone who has served, I'm genuinely touched. I wasn't even a fan until now. It's rare to see someone with this kind of influence speak so purely. Even fellow veterans and men who had once proudly served began reposting the clip, many saying things like, "That wasn't just kind, that was real, that was from someone who understands." And this isn't just about a moment at a microphone. Because what most people didn't realize is that even while Jimin was serving quietly in uniform, another version of him was still leading charts. His solo track, Filter, never once stopped soaring. Released back in 2020 on BTS's Map of the Soul 7, Filter wasn't just a song, it was an experience. A chameleon track that let Jimin show every color of his personality, from seductive to cheeky, elegant to daring. Fast forward 5 years, and despite no music video, no comeback stage, no new promotions, Filter is breaking records. On Melon, it crossed a jaw-dropping 136 million streams, the highest among any BTS solo song. On Spotify, the numbers climbed to 480 million. On YouTube, just the audio version, 126 million views. No choreography, no high-budget visuals, just his voice. The song had also shattered records on iTunes, climbing to #1 in 119 countries and securing a legendary all-kill status, making BTS the first group in history to ever do so. Even during long, cold nights in the barracks, even when he was marching or cleaning or eating from a steel tray, somewhere in the world, a fan was playing Filter again, and again, and again. Why? Because Jimin never leaves. Not really. His voice, it lingers. His lyrics, they echo. And now, with his return, that quiet fire has turned into a roaring storm. Fans are ready. The world is listening. And Jimin? He's coming back. Not just with an army behind him, but with a heart fuller than ever. He promised, "I'll prepare a better image for you." But let's be honest, how do you improve on someone who's already proven that true strength isn't in muscles or medals, it's in kindness? And that's Jimin. Not just the idol we missed, but the man the world needed.